Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. So, what are we talking about today? We're talking about common sense. And not just for our PCs, but going to carry it on to real life because here's the thing. I'm sure we all assume that we are enveloped with common sense. I've got plenty of common sense. I wouldn't do X, Y, Z. And that's the excuse we use with our characters. I've brought this up before when I talk about using your common sense when it comes to COVID, right? I'm not telling you what to do. Your situation is different than everybody else's out there, or what your situation is probably going to be unique. And all I say is use your common sense because I've been in a situation where I've been DMing and I have a player cast that fireball or that lightning bolt. These are always those spells that everybody can't wait to get the chance to use, right? I got a fireball. I'm going to blow everything up. I got a lightning bolt. I'm going to take out everything with a lightning bolt. And the fireball takes up an area effect. And if it is a small room, there's likely to be blowback. And with that lightning bolt, it bounces, right? Because we're using AD&D 1E rules. And this is how it plays out. And it's like, oh no, well, I would have known otherwise. I would have used my common sense to not do that. Right? Does that really work in real life? I mean, honestly, I mean, I know I certainly lack common sense to a large extent. So I've manipulated myself to put in like a common sense meter. And it's kind of like, especially with online interactions, it's, well, I've mentioned my 15-minute rule, right? I'm not allowed to respond to anything without taking 15 minutes to decompress and get through some of the emotions, and then I have to run it by Rach, right? Because she's like my common sense filter. I mean, am I coming off strong or am I coming off like a dick? You want somebody who's gonna. Well, there are situations, real life situations, where you're like, oh, I could do X, Y, Z, right? And my common sense might not always tell me, well, if you do hang out with these individuals who like to go to certain establishments that might not be wise to do if you're a married man, I will actually, and the situation is different when you're single or whatever, but I do remember when Rich and I were getting serious and when we were dating, and I had to disassociate myself from certain friends. And then it wasn't like, fuck you. It was more like, yeah, no, I can't make it. No, I got plans. I got a date, whatever. Because there's certain activities that probably might fit underneath that single category that aren't going to fit underneath the committed category. And I'm not saying committed to a mental hospital, which some people think I probably should be. I'm just saying, in my case, committed to a relationship. So that's my other layer of common sense. It doesn't. It's like, all right, if I did X, what would be Rachel's response? You know, would it be just, what are you, stupid, which I could deal with, or what were you thinking, which I probably don't want to deal with? And these are the reactions. They're legitimate reactions. And I know my wife well enough to be able to use it as a filter, because there are some things that you go, oh, I'd have a great time getting boxed, right? Hey, go out and get boxed. And who cares? I could spend 6 hours at the pub, no longer drinking all that beer because just of heart failure, fluids. I'll move over to wine or Tulum or Dew over ice, and 6, 8 shots later, I mean, I might be stumbling home, but I would get a little disapproval from it. I probably shouldn't have done it, right? So it's the same thing in game, right? We don't really have a mechanism. There's no save and throw for common sense. Maybe there should be, right? When your players go, oh no, my common sense. Well, you know what? Roll your wisdom or less than a d20. So let's see if you were wise enough. oh shit, wisdom was my dump stat. It's only got a 7. Well, you still got 35, but you got a 1 in 3 chance to have thought about, casting that lightning bolt with a wall 15 feet in front of you. That might happen to ricochet it back. Maybe you won't blow your own head off because lightning bolt does d6 damage. You've only got d4 hit dice. So yeah, so maybe that's a mechanism we should actually include, right? I mean, in real life, I've set up my own, I guess, mechanism for that additional. Let me make a wisdom check. Let me roll against what would Rage think. But it's important. It's not just important in real life. It's important in gaming. All right, the decisions you make in real life obviously carry over in real life, but these decisions that you make in gaming are going to affect your character. They might affect the rest of the party. Stupid decisions in real life, stupid decisions in gaming, right? They have something in common. Likely, and we go, oh, if I make a stupid decision, it only affects me. Well, no, that's not really how it works. If you are the only magic user in the party and your stupid decision of casting that lightning bolt that bounces back and blows your head off deprives the party of a 6th-level magic user, that you've affected more than yourself with your lack of wisdom. So how do you address that in game? Besides maybe making a mechanism for wisdom to actually have an effect in game, aside from giving opponents against illusions and extra spells to the clerics. I know a lot of us when we game, we like to and this is real life too. We like to shoot from the hip. We like to go instinctual. And some DMs, and I have been guilty of it in the past, it's like, oh, you got to make your decisions now. Which, in a way, is realistic, but in a way isn't, because you know what? Remember, you're role playing, so you're not being yourself. You're playing a character, and now you're trying to think like that character, but you're really yourself. So I would give, even in those instant moments, I would give my PCs 30 seconds, at least, or a minute, to think about what their proper actions would be, what they should be doing. Right? I mean, in real life, a lot of times when it comes to wisdom isn't something that you have a limited time to think of something. Usually it's just, what the hell? What harm is there? And then you get yourself into a situation where you go, what was I thinking? Game-wise, wisdom has a lot more immediate impact. Your bad decisions in real life, eating like shit, could give you diabetes 5 years down the line. Misplacing that fireball could have immediate consequences. So in a way, you can think of gaming as much like real life, but the consequences are now, not later, for a lot of things. Right? We don't really think about, like, in real life, you might do something and go, I'm going to punt this till later. In gaming, there isn't that much punting, right? It's do or die. So, again, when it comes to something that a player is going to say, my common sense, I wouldn't have done that. If I'd only known that I should have been tapping ahead with, well, actually no, 10-foot poles. Every player should know how to use a 10-foot pole if they've ever played with experienced players in their life. Maybe a party of noobs you make an exception for. All right, you know what? Hey, roll under your wisdom, and maybe you would have realized to take out your 10-foot pole, and maybe you would have noticed that the floor would have given way when you got there. I'm just, well, somebody's going to go, why is Tenkar talking about this? Because I think that in real life, for many of us, common sense is a dump stat. Listen, some of us worry about being physically strong, book learned, wealthy, but common sense is that one thing that will keep you alive for longer than everything else. And that probably would keep your PCs alive longer than anything else, is that common sense. So, try it out in real life, try it out in game. Maybe find some ways that will work for you. Just a thought. Folks, I mentioned COVID. I'm not going to whack you over the head with it. Like I said, use your common sense. Your situation is unique to you. So, use your common sense. Be safe, be well, God bless, roll those dice, and I will be back again tomorrow.